welcome back to episode 41 of the Top Loaded podcast. And World Cup is in full swing. Prism is in full motion now with a lot of sales. I'm just waiting for all my cars to arrive so I can send them off for blooming grading. But most importantly of all, Harry, how are we doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you, Ronnie, mate. Obviously, the 3 weeks now until Christmas, so yeah, the countdown is well and truly on. It's definitely getting colder in the evening, which I can say that for least. Yeah, I'm not doing too badly, thanks, mate. How are you? Good.
Yeah, I can't complain at all. I always say in December, I'm normally using an advent calendar to count down the days to Christmas, but at the moment I'm doing it on Raw Mail Strike, so we're getting quite close to Christmas. But
Not
I
far
think,
off.
yeah, not too far. Honestly, I see a video today of one of the sorting offices with all the parcels and everything. I was like, oh my god!
Yeah.
I just hope my lovely bubble made of envelopes with a certain car from Trade We that's coming is not in one of them piles and swiftly arrives at my front door, hopefully tomorrow. So,
Getting chucked around a gaff left, right, and centre.
yeah, if anyone touches that 25 granite jacket, I'm going to track them. I'm going to be like Liam Neeson in Taken. I'm going to track them down. Trust me. I think the only way to start is England, France. That's going to be a interesting one Saturday night as well.
Yeah, I think I was confident that we'd beat Senegal, and obviously I think we did quite confidently. I think our only trouble is that we really start so slow for the first half an hour, and I think that's where France could really tear us apart. Is if they're capitalising on the mistakes that we tend to make in the first half an hour. I can't sit here and say I'm overly confident going into the France game, but you've seen so many upsets this World Cup so far, and Tunisia beat France. Doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things because they were already through, but anything can happen. But yeah, I can't sit here and say I'm feeling that confident going into France, seeing how Ismaila Sarr taught Kyle Walker a new one, and Mbappe's going to do it on Saturday. So, but yeah, I said anything could happen. I'm not completely out of hope, but yeah, I'm not too confident. I'm sure probably half the England fans aren't either.
I think the worst Kylian Mbappe is just what the guy is some player, that kid.
Unbelievable.
It's a bit scary how he's only 23 years old still, and he's got all the goals in the World Cup. He's won the World Cup, and well, no one can even get close to it. There was a point during the Poland game where I think he ate up about 6 yards on Matty Cash within about 1.5 seconds somehow. I don't know how he managed to do that, but like I say, I think Walker's going to have to be on good performance because he's looking a bit slow. But then saying that, he has come back from injury, so what can we say? It's always fun. It's been a very good World Cup so far. As I've been trying to say to everyone, it's been a fantastic World Cup on the pitch, and that's what we was hoping for. Is politics can be done. Hopefully, we get the good matches. And well, as we're talking now, we've got two more. We're filming this Monday night, so we've got two more games tomorrow, and then the quarterfinal lineup to be done. So we know it's going to be Croatia, Brazil plays the winner of Netherlands, Argentina. So unless an upset, it could be a Brazil-Argentina semi-final, which would be crazy. And then obviously England, France play the winners of Spain versus Morocco and Portugal, Switzerland. So I will definitely have my Switzerland hat on for that one. But I think it's perfect just to interlude straight into World Cup and obviously Prism. We spoke a couple of weeks ago with the lovely guys over at Trade We when the product had only just come out, but I've got to say, with some more releases, what we're going to touch on now, I don't think anyone can disagree. I think it's been a fantastic product launch, and I think definitely for me the best product of 2022.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the World Cup Prism really has taken off, and the market really reflects that. I think since the World Cup's now properly in motion, and even more since obviously the players, certain players' prices are now reflecting on that as well. So yeah, I think it's obviously we've had Breakaway recently released, obviously Choice, the hobby boxes. So yeah, I think it's been a fantastic release in 2022, and I think, as you say, arguably one of the most successful releases obviously this year. I think the World Cup hype is in full swing. It's massively on a high, and the boxes and the World Cup product is reflecting that. We couldn't really ask for much more. Maybe not have been what we probably all expected. Also, we expect big things from World Cup Prism, but we maybe didn't expect it to be this popular. But yeah, we couldn't really ask much more in terms of the popularity and how successful the release has been.
I think the one massive thing as well is before we talk about the individual releases within, but the prices of some of the cards have been crazy. I was looking yesterday and there was a 50 box breakaway prison break in America, and Julian Alvarez spot by itself done $600. Like, I can't like, and you think that's one player. Obviously, he's one of the big rookies, and I decided to watch the recap at the end to see has this person spent $600 on the Julian Alvarez spot hit a card. They hit a to 5 breakaway Julian Alvarez. So fair play to them. Congratulations. But the prices, like obviously Gavi's cards have been going crazy. Yeah, these base cards at the beginning were going for 20, 30 quid a pop. Obviously now you've got so many different parallels which are seen coming up, especially the to 399 all red is a lovely card. And I think what's nice as well is the case hits are kind of, obviously some people would want a bit more money from them, but mellowed out to quite a reasonable price as well for a lot of collectors. Whereas I'm seeing national landmarks in the 80 to 120 range for some of the lesser teams. No disrespect to them, but like I say, it's been a great release, and I'm personally a massive fan. I'm going to go straight in on one of them. Choice. It's a high risk, high reward kind of product. It's a very small box. You get 8 cards, I think it is, but you get the elusive potential tiger print, elephant skin, zebra print, the nebula one of ones, and you get 2 blue scopes to 135 in there, which I can show you right now is a lovely card. I've got this for people who are listening. Lovely little Noah Okafor here. It's just a lovely card, and I've got a feeling that we obviously look back with quite a bit of fondness. You see a lot of Mbappe's from the 2018 Russian World Cup pop up, and then from the 2014 Brazil, you see a lot of the Ronaldos, the Messis. I think down the line, some of these top guys will be seeing because the parallels are just great, and I'm very intrigued to see because it's not really started yet. I don't know if you've seen either. I'm very intrigued to see how these are going to grade because so far they've looked in good condition, and I think hopefully by the time the card shows roll around January, February, we're going to see quite a lot of them because no doubt I think you're going to want to add some to your collection as well.
Yeah, I think for me the Nebula one of one from Choice is absolutely filthy. Like it's one of the nicest card designs that I've seen in a long time. Obviously, when we were at South Coast 2 weeks ago now, I think it was. Obviously, we saw Trade We pull one of their Nebulas. I think it was from one of the Japanese, players. I think it was.
Ito, Ito, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it was such a nice card design. And like you said, the zebra print, the tiger print, like there's some really, really nice cards in Choice. And as I said, so far so good in terms of the quality control, which is quite new. But I think it'd be interesting to see with potentially SGC being still quite a low turnaround time, and obviously some PSA economy. Hopefully be back in time for London in February. So it would be good to see some of the graded World Cup cards from Prism obviously there. But yeah, as I said, for me, choices really blow me away in terms of the card designs and the different parallels. We see it every year, but it just doesn't get any better than in a World Cup set. But yeah, for me, Nebula is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I was like to say, when we see it in person, I think a lot of these Prism cards really do it justice in person. It really pops that bit more. And especially with Breakaway, I think Breakaway's gone under the radar a bit at the moment because obviously a lot of people see it as the less admirable product, but you get minimum 2 numbered per box. You get 90 cards per box. You get 10 packs of 9 cards or 9 packs of 10 cards, whatever way around it is. I think it's 10 packs of 9. But nothing's numbered higher than 99. I think that's a great little box. Whereas if you're ripping a hobby box, I know you get 4 or 5 numbered, but you might have 3 to 399, and then you might have 1 to 165 or something. That one, you're guaranteed 2 less than 100 cards. And all right, it's not guaranteed you're going to get an auto or you're going to get a case hit, but you've still got the chance of it. So it's quite a fun little one to rip and to participate in. Obviously, prices are a bit lower than that's always going to be because it's not the true reflection of the hobby. But Breakaway's an option for people out there that if you can't afford a hobby box, but you want to buy a box, you're guaranteed the 2 numbered cards. I think they've really nailed that on quite well. And it's 20 boxes per case. On average, you get between, I think it's 7 to 10 autos. So roughly 1 in 2 to 1 in 3 boxes. I think it's another great setup that gives people the option of a cheaper box, but also keeps the print run low as well. And they've not gone stupid with to 399s.
Yeah, I think it's a big incentive in the breakaway boxes to have cards nothing over to 99, especially in sort of the current card market in terms of price. And obviously, people don't have the cash that we used to have, let's say, during lockdown. So the breakaway boxes are a really smart alternative. And I just said, keeping the print run low. Again, you're not guaranteed the same hits as you would be in a choice or a normal World Cup Prism box. So for me, I think it's a really big incentive to have those 2 number cards to 99 or below, with the chance of obviously hitting some low numbers, big names. So yeah, so it's a big incentive, and I think it's a really smart play, that I think obviously has played out in the long run. Because yeah, it keeps the print run low. You got a fairly good chance of hitting a low numbered card, obviously to 99 as a maximum. Yeah, I think that's really a really smart play, and I think it's worked out really well for him.
Yeah, and moving on to the only retail equivalent before we go on to a couple of Panini Rule ones. Obviously, the blasters, which we've seen quite a lot being ripped. You get the green wave prisms. You also can get red prism, purple prism, and blue prism, I think, or blue waves, sorry, red waves, which have been quite a nice little product. Obviously, I think they've been retailing in America for around the $30 from the actual wholesalers. So I think like Target, and when they've had it on $30 resale has been in the area of 50 to 65 territory. Obviously, it's you're not guaranteed number cards at all, but you do get the green wave. So I've seen quite a few people rip them. Some of the green waves been quite nice, especially the color matches with likes of Senegal, Cameroon, Brazil really work quite nice. So obviously it's not as desirable as your breakaways, your choices, your hobbies, but yeah, again, it's another good rip for people, and especially for people who might just want the like occasional little rip. They don't want to obviously spend 400-500 on choices and hobbies, but 50 quid is still a lot of money, but decent for a chance to say a green wave like Pedri.
Yeah, definitely. I think we even obviously ripped it with our good friend Lewis, obviously at South Coast, one of the World Cup blasters, and yeah, all right, you may not potentially be guaranteed as good a hit or a big case hit, but you can still get them, obviously. But for me, I think the blasters are a really good cheap alternative for people to rip the product. I said they're a good price point. I think they're South Coast. They're a region in between sort of the £50 to £60 mark. So yeah, really appealing price. And I said you've still got the chance of hitting some of the cool parallels. Obviously, that are only in the blasters. So yeah, a really good price point. Obviously, a really successful product again. And as I said, especially in the current market, obviously blasters and that sort of price range, what people for wax are probably aiming to be at.
Yeah, but definitely, I agree with you there. And I think moving on to the last couple, which some people might not have seen, they won't surface as much, but Panini Rewards, which is obviously you see it sometimes where in boxes they don't have an auto, so it's replaced by points. They've had a couple of different packs on there you could buy. Just before, around actually the hobby release, they brought out the white sparkle ones, which always are very notorious for being quite a nice card. Brought them out, but also this week they brought out a green ice, which I believe was numbered to 75 in one of the last Prisms, I think 2020-21 Prism in the Premier League, which is a lovely card. I've seen it with Neymar and looks really nice. So keep your eyes out on that, especially on the eBay in America, because they'll start popping up where people have bought them. Or if you've got 1,500 points, as of recording this, it's still available on paniniamerica.net. So go and check that out. But like I say, there's a lot of variation out there for parallels. There's been some really nice cards hits, autos. I see a Figo 2 of 2 auto from Breakaway yesterday, which was a bit of a strange one. But it's like I say, especially now with the World Cup happening, I don't know if you'd agree with this, that certain players' cards now, you kind of want to, even if it's like a silver, for example, you want to own it because you know they had a good World Cup and you remember it. Like, for example, Jude Bellingham's been absolutely incredible for England. So it'd be nice to get one of his cards. I'd like to get like a 399 maybe, just saying, not even obviously it's not going to be cheap, but it's not going to be expensive. It's now you can kind of tie memories into these cards, whereas before the tournament started, you was like, oh, it's a really nice card, but would I want it?
Yeah, I think what's happened is what we thought would happen in terms of the players that are playing well are getting that recognition, and their cards obviously are getting snapped up pretty quickly. For me, the ones that have sold the most are obviously the likes of Vinny, obviously Brazil, and for me, Gakpo from Netherlands. I think they're two for me standout shout outs that their cards really are coming and going like anything. People that they have a good game. Like I'm sure when I go back onto my Instagram after recording this, there'll be a load of Vinny's on my Instagram stories. People trying to sell their cards
Yeah,
and
that's you, L Trade Soccer. I just had to say that. I see you put up a gold Vinny. I see it. I see his. I knew he was going to do it straight away, but yeah, like you say, it's like just touching on that. Every time a goal has gone in, it's great to see everyone's cards on Instagram.
I mean, for me, I think it was Bellingham, I think, wasn't it? Or Mbappe. There's been so many tickets, slabs, whatever of these players. The minute they score a goal, it gets listed straight up on the Instagram story. Oh, these are still available, by the way. Like, I think it's quite funny. Like, some people take it a bit too seriously, but I think it's quite funny when you go back on the Instagram and just see story after story of these cards that are now being listed up on Instagram. But yeah, I think like I said, there's a lot of big names that are having good games and scoring a lot of goals, and the cards then are being picked up. But like I said, I think there's a lot more memories behind these cards now. Like Bellingham, first the World Cup, scores in his debut in the World Cup. Obviously, Saka scored 3 goals, obviously in the World Cup so far already in his first World Cup. I mean, Harry Maguire, just incredible. Pick up one of his cards, because why not? That was a joke, FYI. I don't like Harry Maguire. But I think it's been a really successful release. And I think players that are playing well and are scoring goals are getting the recognition, and their cards are flying off the shelf.
No, definitely, and I think we'll see it a lot more. I'd be very like I should say, once cards start getting back from your PSAs, your SGCs, CSG, even the other companies that are available. It's going to be quite nice to see them slabbed up, see how they're doing, and see the prices, because no doubt there'll be a lot sent off for grading. Just naturally, people will get random numbered cards graded, and they won't go for as much. But like I say, I'm quite intrigued. I've done quite well in a couple of breaks. I've got a nice couple on the way to 25 Granite Jack or Orange,
I was
which I'm
about to say,
very,
quite well, mate. You've done very well in your breaks, Juventus.
yeah, not too bad.
Don't try and play it down.
I've come to be known as Mr. Switzerland at the moment. Like if I've been trying to get the Switzerland spot, so yeah, I've done very well already this World Cup Prism. I'm looking forward to getting them in hand because I haven't got hardly any of them in hand. The only one I've actually got in hand so far is from Pat Card Geek, which is the Okafor. So I'm looking forward to getting the Brew Bolo 10 gold over from the States. That would be a really nice one to see how rich the gold card is this year. And obviously, the Granite Jack Orange to 25 is due very soon. So looking forward to that. But talking about World Cup, and I think the perfect segment, and like you say, like Bellingham scoring on his debut, is the return of Panini World Cup Instant. Always a smash. I really enjoyed it from the Euros, which obviously was a couple of years ago now, but I remember the one I picked up from that World Cup Euros was Bukayo Saka one. It's just a base one, but it's been great to see them return again, like you say, capturing moments. Lucky enough for me, shout out to Aiden who tipped me off it was getting released. I picked up a to 5 Granite Xhaka, which I thought was actually quite well priced. It was only $30, which I thought weren't too bad, really. Obviously, Panini Instants are never going to go for thousands for players of like Xhaka's like renowned in the card hobby world, but he's one of one was $160, and I was like, $130 difference. Obviously, the one of one's great, but you can near enough buy all 5 for the same price. And I was like, I'll just pick up one of the 5s. It's a really nice kaleidoscope, like parallel. So, like I say, there'll probably be a bit of time, but some of them have been great to see pop up. Bellingham going up for his header. That was a great one to see. I've seen Musiala's, Gavi's. I've literally every game's near enough had one now. Even sadly, the game like Uruguay got knocked out. So I really wanted a Suarez one with him sitting there crying on the bench. That would have been quite funny. But I suppose probably wouldn't have
I know
sold that
Gus
well.
is going to kill me for this, but it's got to be the one with Kai Havertz as if she stood holding the trophy, breaking down in tears almost. And so, Gus, if you're listening, mate, I can only apologise, but that has got to be one of the best ones they've released.
But that's the thing. It's just great because you remember like some of them. You will remember like the moments they happen. Obviously, quite a few of the England ones are going to be quite nice. I'm going to definitely pick up the base Saka one just to have. I might pick up a base one of the Bellinghams as well. It's good to have really nice collection. Obviously, it's going to go all the way through to the final, and no doubt there'll be some really nice cards. Whatever team lifts the beautiful trophy week before Christmas, there'll be some great instance with them holding the trophy, and hopefully for us and everyone listening who's obviously supporting the Three Lions, it'd be lovely to have a lovely Bukayo Saka holding the World Cup trophy. But if not, no doubt it'd be like the Kylian Mbappe from the last World Cup that proved to be a very nice one. If Brazil go and do it, you can imagine Neymar's, Vinicius, Rodrigo's, Martinelli. Just this, the list is endless. So I think it's been a really good release, and I think the price point's been really good. So I don't know if you thought about picking any up, or you might do on like the resale market, but it really bugs me that there's not a Premier League instant. And I'm not going to get into that today. I'll get into that another time. But I just love the instant cards.
Yeah, I think obviously it's very similar to obviously the Tops Now cards and the equivalent. But I think they've really hit the nail on the head with the moments from the World Cup so far, and the card designs are wicked. I think they're really really good. And like you said, the price points for that to five, for example, is not even half bad. And I think they've been a real big success. And yeah, hopefully if Saka gets a few more. I mean, I'll say a few more. We might only have one game left, but I'm not going to be too pessimistic. Let's say we're going to get to the final. So Saka can score a penalty and redeem himself from the Euros. But yeah, no, I think if Saka gets another one, or hopefully I can ask Martinelli, I might look to try and pick one of those up. But yeah, it's one of those. I don't really tend to pick up too many like Tops Nows or Panini Instants. I don't know why, and I feel like I should pick up some more, especially during these moments of the World Cups where you're looking back at memories and a point in history where like I said, Bellingham scored in his debut and in the winning World Cup. And yeah, I mean, I think if Saka was to get one, it'd be a nice low numbered one and around the $30 mark then potentially. Yeah, I need to keep an eye out more on the premiums as when they drop.
No, definitely. It's always one. They have a little countdown there, but it's one of them that it seems like not just UK based, but states based. It's always a similar people are getting them. I think it's just, I don't know if it is bot related or they're just very lucky or very quick, but it's like I say, it always seems to be similar kind of people getting them. So it's always a bit of a shame, especially like some of the cool auto ones they've done, but it's one of them that you've got to be quick. It's like Tops with their releases. It's like everyone has their own opinions on it, but until you never really know what goes on. So hopefully, if anyone out there's going for one, hopefully you get it. And it's just like as you say, it's a great release, and it's just World Cup is obviously in full flow now and really gaining traction on the cards. And the next talking point, which when we put out about questions, El Toro, Jason mentioned it, but this was going to be our main talking point for this episode. And obviously, as of we're speaking today, which is Monday the 5th of December, Whatnot has officially gone live within the UK. Obviously, VOGGT, which was known as Bits before, which has been the UK card slash marketplace breaking, whatever, like all that kind of industry for a good 6 to 10 months, like however it is, I'm not sure the exact release date, but Whatnot. Straight away, thoughts about Whatnot within the UK before we go into will it kill off VOT and all that. Just early thoughts of what do you think about Whatnot finally coming over?
Yeah, I think it's only going to be a positive for the hobby in the UK scene. They're already obviously massively well established in the US. Obviously, a lot of UK people in the hobby have been using Whatnot already. Obviously, within the US, using Gorilla Ship, and they like to ship my cards, obviously to transfer them over to the UK. So I think to finally have it now in the UK with obviously sellers already registered and already doing streams on Whatnot in the UK is, I think, speaks volumes. I think we've seen so many people sharing the Whatnot post. I think that the popularity is already there in terms of people knowing what Whatnot is, who Whatnot are. Some tongue twister that is. But I think it's only going to be a positive. I think it's going to be massive. I think it's going to really take off in the UK. The more and more people that get on board, the more and more people that will start selling and doing streams. Yeah, in my opinion, it's only a positive, and I think it's really going to take off. I'm looking forward to sort of jumping in a few streams and seeing, hopefully, some nice product rips, some good singles being sold, and yeah, seeing what happens. But yeah, in my opinion, it's a really big W for the UK scene.
I definitely agree with you. I think we've we've mentioned it a few times in passing before about when's it going to come over, or even quite a while back. We was like, I wonder if Whatnot will go proper within the UK scene. And I think the main thing that I always think of, and I don't know why it's my first thought at the moment when I come to think of Whatnot launching in the UK, is the plethora of customers they already have in the US, Canada, and wherever in the world. Obviously, like you say, people with their PO box systems. who are already on the whatnot, ready to go, and they'll see a UK streamer, and you'd naturally, whereas VOGGT is pretty much all right. There's quite a few European-based people on there. I think there's a few nestled in Asia as well, but the sheer quantity of traffic you're going to be able to get through whatnot is unbelievable. And like we say, this is not a paid promotion or anything at all for whatnot or VOGGT, but it's honestly it's going to be very interesting because I always say it's always good to have competition for stuff. And obviously, Whatnot was mainly based in Canada, US. VOGGT was mainly based Europe based. So now having Whatnot coming over, and I know I've seen today that they've signed up quite a few people already to do streams. Like you said, people have already started doing shows. It's going to be great. I always like Whatnot. It's so simple to use. I really enjoy the interface, and I was looking at it. Is it going to be a bit of a not like nuisance to switch in between US address and UK address? But they've even got that down to a T now. Literally within the screen itself, you just press on the address and it changes. So I think it's going to be really good. And like I say, it's only going to do more things because they've got the experience, they've got the following behind them, they've got the followers, they've got the user interface, and the amount of millions that goes through them on a weekly basis from some of the biggest collectors in the world. Obviously, like we've had on here before, Brian, Sports Sunday League investor, absolutely incredible. I was watching one of his breaks the other day on it. Obviously, Ryan Card Collector 2 does stupid amount of thousands of cards every single day, it seems. And not just to them, but there's just tons of different ones all the way up and down the coast. I've picked up some of my nicest cards on there. So having the option now of UK based sellers and US based sellers, Canada, it's going to be great. But what does it mean for VOG? That is the big question because, like I say, there's a really lot of good guys in the UK who are on VOG. Card King, I know as we speak, I think he's doing a double case breaker Premier League choice. You've got Tate's ripping Chronicles near enough every single day that he's awake. You've got obviously the Kardashians over there as well. Like there's some really nice people over there, really good guys as well. But it's don't you think it's going to be very interesting? I'd say the next 2 to 3 months of what happens with VOGT, or even a year down the line. Where will we be in this time of the year? Will Whatnot have completely taken over, or will VOGT have got bigger as well now that more people are looking at it? It's really, I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to monitor within the UK scene.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a case where only time will tell. In my opinion, I don't think VOGT are really going to go in the mud. I still think they've got a big enough following as it is, with some big names, as said, already on their streaming. So I can't imagine that they're going to come in and go straight underwater and sink. I think obviously Whatnot are going to be a very big and strong competition to try and deal with. I think it's for VOGT, it's about retaining those streamers they've got on there already, like you said, the likes of Card King, Tate's, Kardashians, the Crypt, that are already on there. Is how do they retain them, and how do they stop them from, let's say, going to Whatnot, or whether they do start streaming on both Whatnot and VOGT. I think that's going to be the big question: is what they're going to do to retain the current streamers and the current sellers on the marketplace, as opposed to watching them go over to Whatnot. So I think time will tell. I think it's going to be interesting to see, as you said, to monitor it and watch how it plays out, as to whether Whatnot really just takes it by storm, and VOGT do go in the mud, or whether VOGT are going to respond and go bigger, or what I don't know what's going to happen. But I think that for me the big question mark is going to be how are VOGT going to retain their current streamers and the big names they've got on there already.
No, I think it's going to be, like I say, I think it'll be very intriguing to monitor, especially in the near future and then on to like years down the line, because Whatnot have got a lot of money behind them as well. Like they've got the push power. Like you see some of the challenges they set some people of, oh, go out there and spend X amount of thousands and sell it all. And I think Whatnot done really well. I think it was about 3 weeks ago now. It was a weekend. They done an interactive card show, which I found really interesting. Didn't participate in it, but I was reading up about it, and it was they dedicated a Saturday and Sunday for it. It's like a card show. It run from X time to X time, but every half hour it was a different seller. So it was quite a good idea. Like it's realistically, you're not at a card show looking at cards, but you're in the comfort of your own house or wherever it is. So like I say, they've got some good ideas as well. And like I say, hopefully VOG can play off Whatnot can play off VOG. Then it just makes it another reason to have more people being able to buy from British collectors and sellers. So hopefully it brings more money into the UK card scene and it slowly brings it up as well. I think it's going to be good. I think there's nothing to worry about really in terms of for the actual UK scene. Obviously, hopefully they both do well and it just brings more money. That's what it's all about. Is we're trying to grow this hobby over here in the UK still, and more people, more Americans that can see it just on the tap of their phone, the better. Because, like I say, we've got, especially for, I actually do think of Sunday League investors when I think about this, because he always says about trying to find the soccer cards in the States. Well, we say soccer cards more than he says soccer cards because he calls them football cards. It's a really strange conversation, but he can now look at people what they're selling over here, and like you say, it's going to be really intriguing because obviously quite a few Americans might actually like some of the stuff over here, especially we might have a bit more vintage, for example, that they might not be able to get in the States. So then that might be able to transport back across. And then, like you say, then it just upgrades the UK hobby scene and the
I
relationship.
think it's the whole, I guess, excitement of a new platform as well. Obviously, we've very much been there, done that, got the t-shirt for eBay, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, arguably been around quite a long time as well. And not to say that they're dead and buried, because obviously, eBay and Instagram and Facebook for that matter, or even Twitter, for arguably some of the biggest platforms that people are still selling cards on. But I think for me, it's like this whole new excitement of a new platform. Oh, let's jump on there, watch a stream. Oh, it's pretty cool. I'll buy that card. Whereas, if Whatnot hadn't been introduced or no one heard about Whatnot or no one signed up to it, there's that process of elimination where obviously that wouldn't have been there in the first place. So I think it's about the excitement of a new platform being introduced and people wanted to try it out. People wanted to buy a few cards, see what the shipping's like, see what the sort of the communication's like, and go from there. So I think it's adding to the depth in terms of different selling platforms and buying platforms. And like I said, it's the excitement of having a new platform to sell, buy, sell, trade, buy and sell on. And yeah, I said, hopefully it'll be a massive success for them.
Yeah, I think, like we say, we wish both of them very well in the UK hobby and everyone on it. But moving on to a first time that both of us have been to a show which was not the London Card Show. So obviously we travelled down to the South Coast Card Show, and you might as well take it away because it was quite an interesting day.
Yeah, it was a really, really good day. Shout out to the guys at the South Coast for having us. It was a really wicked day. It was it was really weird for us, wasn't it? I think obviously going down there, not being at a usual Sandown race course, and being in Brighton down by the coast where it's quite cold, quite nippy. That aside, it was an absolutely brilliant day. I thought personally, it was one of those shows where you had the time and you had the noise level to actually interact with people and speak to people and spend a bit more time talking to people and sort of looking through cards and getting to know the sellers more than you potentially would at London, just due to the sheer volume of people. Not to knock London or sort of turn a bad eye to it, because obviously we're massive fans of London and Harry's work and stuff. So but I think, to have that bit more time and a bit more freedom to, talk to people and on a longer and more sort of personal level, for me was wicked. Massive, massive venue. I think there's a lot more room for growth, a lot of potential at the venue. I think, some of the cars that are on display there were wicked. I think, it was just as the World Cup release was sort of out. A lot of World Cup was there. So, I mean, what time this will be released tomorrow? So I think as of tomorrow, will the £30 challenge be out? Was it the day?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. So if you go onto Packrip's YouTube channel, obviously you will see mine and Ronnie's lovely looking faces on YouTube video, with Dan Sports Cars UK and obviously Packrip in a £30 spending challenge. Obviously, shout out to those guys obviously for inviting us onto the challenge. It was a good laugh. So obviously, if you are on YouTube, do go and give it a watch. It was a lot of fun to record. Apart from the fact my arm went severely numb after holding the camera for 40 minutes for Dan and Packrip doing their half of the challenge, and it was numb for a few days afterwards. But that's not the point. But it was a brilliant show in my opinion. Obviously, they have just released the next date, which I believe is April
8th, I think, off the top of my head.
Yeah, good memory. Obviously looking forward to seeing how that does and comparing it to their first ever show. But yeah, as their first ever show, I think they got a takeaway. It was a success. All the positives they took from it. Although the raffle may have been slightly rigged. I'm not sure Kyle will agree with me, but one of those things, we got the same winners happening there time and time again, which is quite funny to see. I think everyone took it as quite a light-hearted joke, but yeah, shout out to the guys running it, because it was a really, really fun day out. Some great guys there, good to interact with people, some good products, some good cars, some good vendors. So yeah, all round it was a really, really successful show. But yeah, what was your thoughts and opinions coming away from it?
Actually, like you say, I think my main takeaway was just being able to actually talk to a lot of people a lot more as well. Whereas obviously London is so hectic of having like 1,000 people that you're kind of like, you're right, mate, how you doing? But that one you could kind of really got to just stand around, chat with vendors and people, and then just actually just talk to them as well, which was nice because normally it's passing visits or you talk to them via Instagram or however. So it was actually really nice. Obviously, we sat there with Jake at MGC for a bit. That was really nice. And then like I say, there's so many people there. Speaking to Lawrence quite a bit as well. I always talk to him quite a bit anyway, but it's so much nicer in person as well to see the cars, talk about the cards, and like I say, a few pickups, not too many pickups actually, but picked up literally. I was walked straight in, see a card, and bought it straight away, which was always handy when you walk into a card show.
And that's not like you either.
Very not
You
like
never
me,
do
but
that.
I see it at the corner. I see it as we went over to the Trade We store way down. I see the Viviana Miedemar auto, which I need for the Arsenal Chrome set, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to get this there. So I managed to pick that up for 40 quid, which I was very happy about. So I remember when, and still artists, they vary between, to be fair, I think they vary from about 40 to 70 depending on the day. So very happy with that one. Then right at closing, obviously one of my favorite stalls at London Car Show, which I was very happy to see at South Coast Car Show, which was obviously Wedding Collectibles, which have some of the best vintage stuff at any show. And what I love about it as well is always a lot of raw stuff as well. So you've got to flick through it, find the gems. There's some great bits in there. Like you could spend a lot of money in there. Not really PC stuff, just really cool old Italian, French stickers. So managed to pick up a few bits there as well, which I was very happy about. I know we're looking forward to in the early stages of next year, January, February, hopefully just before London Car Show, heading down to Welling Collectibles or to the that way. So it's not really down, it's to the side to Welling Collectibles, which would be really nice because, like I say, some great stuff in there, some really nice old Arsenal stuff that I picked up with. So I don't know what I know you did make one lovely pickup, so might as well tell us about that one.
Yeah, obviously, as you all know from a few videos ago, also do have the Thierry Henry's Arsenal first year rookie sticker from 1999 Merlin in an SGC 6.5. Obviously, same lovely gentleman. Shout out to Marnold Cards. I managed to pick up Thierry Henry's second year Arsenal sticker in an SGC 8. Have I forgotten? Is it 8 point, I think it was 8.5. I think have I forgotten that? I think it was 8.5. I think I picked it up in an 8.5. So yeah, shout out to Mike on that one. Yeah, another really good deal, and obviously great to see him again. Funny picking up my first on re at the first ever London Card Show, and also then picking up the most recent one again at the most recent South Coast Card Show. So yeah, shout out to Mike on that one. Obviously, we appreciate the deal, but yeah, it was a nice little pickup. My only pickup from the show, but yeah, it was a nice pickup to add to the Thierry Henry sticker graded collection, if you like. However, I did submit some cars to grading as well, so that was a little bonus to throw in there.
I was actually going to say one of my favorite pickups for the day as well was the McDonald's on the route home, because it doesn't help when you go to a
Dream.
don't help when you go to a card show. You don't eat in the morning or for
The thing is,
lunch.
though, we tried to find a McDonald's
Yeah,
breakfast, and we ended up going down a one-way street, the wrong way though. So let's do a quick UE on that one, and then let's just scrap that off. So I think to get on the way home was a nice end to the day. So yeah, shout out to Macca's on the whatever motorway it was.
yeah. Like I say, that was a lovely one, and like I say, it was a very good show. Sadly, I personally won't be at the next South Coast Card Show for somehow commitments already. But like I say, we'll be hopefully chatting to the guys again before that show because we really get on well with them. Hopefully, they do really well with it. And I know, obviously, you just touched on there that you sent off a few bits for grading. Have you had your result back for your one of one that you submitted yet?
I have it popped. When did it pop? Middle of last. What's today? Monday. Yeah, I think end of last week. I think it popped. There's a lot of speculation with a few of the boys. That obviously when I graded it with Aaron, it was very skeptical. He said basically anywhere between a 7 and a 10. It had a really dodgy surface mark and almost a bit of like the actual foil missing on the card. But this is what my heart's in my mouth. I'm like, I've got a one of one here, and if this grades a 7, I want to be mortified. So she sent it off, and the suspense was killing me for a couple of weeks, and it finally popped at the end of last week, and it did pop an SGC 9.5, which obviously I was absolutely gobsmacked with. I was like, I said I'd be happy with an 8 or above, not really setting my expectations too high. It's a PC, so I'm like, is what it is, what it grows with. But yeah, to see it come back through on the emails at 9.5, I was absolutely buzzing. So yeah, I think at time recording this, I think Aaron is going live in approximately 35 minutes for the SGC reveal. So I'll be very much looking forward to seeing my cards in that reveal. Buzzing to get it back in hand. But yes, it did in fact pop an SGC 9.5, my Gunfer Steiner, one of one foil fractor.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And I think it's time to have a little rainbow update. How are you getting along with the rainbow as well?
Yeah, so I've actually put a post out this evening of the rainbow. So I have the base, the checker. I still need the sparkle foil, so I think I'll have a refractor if you like from paper. I've got the to one. My mind goes blank. I've got to 25 to 50 to 75 to 99, and that's a 199. So yeah, literally just missing the sparkle foil, the red to 5, and the black to 10 from the rainbow. So I think I got quite lucky with the to 25 and the to 50 coming up within like 3 days of each other. But I think it's going to be a long slog trying to find the to 10 and the to 5. But hopefully, I've checked the grading websites. They're not on PSA, they're not on SGC. So they're going to be raw somewhere. For all I know, my luck, they're probably unopened in a box somewhere or sat on someone's shelf or sat in a card shop or in America somewhere. So yeah, just have to hope luck's on my side and they do surface at some point. But if anyone sees 2021 flagship red going for to 5 or black to 10, follow your boy.
Definitely keep an eye and check out the post over on your Instagram because it's a very nice post and it shows you the update on the rainbow as well. But talking about flagship, I think you might as well take us away because an F1 product has launched within the last week and it was an interesting one on the Topps website. Shock.
Yeah, yeah, it comes as no surprise really anymore, does it? Unfortunately, yeah, obviously Topps 2022 flagship was finally released on yesterday, wasn't it? Or Saturday night, maybe Saturday night, I think it was. No, it wasn't.
Friday.
Yeah, thanks, Ronnie. I do collect cards, I promise. Yeah. So Friday, obviously, 2022 flagship was released on Topps. And yeah, for no surprise, obviously, there was a lovely glitch on the Topps website, which means it wouldn't let you add it to your basket. So I was planning on buying a box, just a bit of a fun rip. Obviously, Topps had other ideas and didn't want me to buy it. So I think it was telling me something to try and stick to my rainbow of Gunfer from 2021 before I dive into 2022. But yeah, I mean, from what I've seen so far, I'm not really too complaints from me. I think some lovely card designs in there. Obviously, flagship isn't as popular, obviously, as Chrome for, I think, numerous amounts of reasons.
Here's what I found.
Yeah,
Sorry,
see that.
my Apple Watch. Siri's getting involved and all.
He's looking for your Gunfer. You mentioned it. Even your watch is looking for it.
Oh, God. But as I said, yeah, I think there's some lovely card designs. Obviously, the patches are back out, obviously, for flagship. I've seen a lovely Gunfer to 5, obviously, patch that's been found and pulled. The only thing I think I would say that's quite interesting, I think, in my opinion, was the fact on the Topps website, they actually released individual packs, which obviously me and you spoke about obviously before we started recording, which I think was quite interesting. Obviously, the fact they didn't do it last year. Now, whether that was a fact of they found it difficult to sell out of the product, or whether they thought it would be more appealing to a variety of people selling individual packs. But I think it'd be interesting to see the sales figures in terms of how they've sold. also know our good friend Lewis, who did pick up a couple of packs, single packs website. But yeah, I think as a whole, it's quite a good release. I'm interested to see. I think a lot of Americans have been ripping it already, so it's been good to see some of the pulls from there. I think I've seen like a Lando to 5 pulled already, I think, on Facebook. So yeah, interested to see obviously what else comes out of it in the near future, and hopefully be able to get my hands on a box in London maybe in February, or if Topps actually want to let me buy it on the website, that would just be fantastic anyway. But yeah, obviously, yeah, I think there's a couple of new inserts in 2022 flagship. Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing. So yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I know you're not really into F1 as much anymore since you sold your Kimmy PC. But what's your opinions on the release? Are you looking forward to it, or are you sort of just a bit like, "Here's what it is"?
I think the one thing that I really like from it, and I probably will collect some of them, is in every one you get a postcard size track card, and there's one for every single track in the season. I think that's really cool. I've seen Silverstone, I've seen Circuit of Americas, Monza. I think that's just a really neat kind of addition. And like I say, it's not really a trading card, so I don't know what they're going to go for, but I might pick up some of them of my favorite tracks just as a nice little bit on the side. Just hopefully be quite cheap while I'm saying it. Otherwise, I think it's what we kind of expected from flagship. You get a black and white checkered card in every single pack. You get obviously X amount of numbered cards. You've got obviously F2 drivers, your principals kit, and then obviously you get a chance of the relic card as well. So, like I say, it's kind of what you expect from flagship. Obviously, you've got the big boys coming along soon of 22 Dynasty, which is going to be crazy, and obviously 22 Chrome when it comes along. So, but flagship gives people the chance, and especially like you say, of buying individual packs of if there's be kids out there who might have 10, 15 quid for a birthday or something like that, and they can get a couple of packs. They won't be able to spend £130. Even I literally just checked, and they've literally sold out the Topps boxes now, the hobby boxes, but the packs are still available. So, like I say, packs could be a thing of if you're ordering like a Topps Now card or something, or Project 22 card. We're not mentioning that. That you can spend the extra £6.50 or whatever it is and get a pack and just rip it for the sake of having a rip. So, like I say, it's always good, and it's always the curtain raiser for Chrome because you know what the design of the card's going to be like. I'm not. So the only thing I'm not convinced about so far, and I don't know if it'd be different for Chrome, is the actual color of the parallel is not all the way on the card. It's 3/4, and at the bottom it's still white, and I'm not quite sure about that. So I just personally like if say for example I've got an orange, I want the whole card to be orange. I don't want it to be 3/4 orange and then a quarter white. But it's a little thing, so be interesting to see. Like I say,
I think they've added 3 more parallels than this year, haven't they, than last year? Which I think will be also be adding to the rainbow. Thankfully, not to mine. Also, yeah, I think there's added 3 more parallels. I think to 75 to 125. I think to 175. I think potentially 3 more parallels, which obviously again is adding to the amount of cards in the set.
Yeah,
Pro or con?
I'm always going to do it right. It's like World Cup Prison. They've added to 399.
Yeah.
Get more cards, more things to chase, more boxes to sell, more people can buy it. Harder to hit the lower numbered stuff. So you can understand why the companies do it. I think like we see that last year with Chrome and Chrome Light, that there was a lot of parallels for Chrome last year, and no doubt, even though I actually do like the Ray Waves were a really nice addition. I really like them card designs. So, and the checkerboard Chromes are really nice as well, especially the blacks, the purples, the golds, and the reds. But like you say, it's going to be, I think it's like you say, that gets everyone kind of ready for the new product. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to afford Dynasty because it's very expensive, but has some of the best cards out there. And then obviously, Chrome is up next, whenever that is released. Hopefully, probably be early January, I'm guessing now, and potentially February, which is always a shame that it's once the season finishes, that it's not during the season. So the hype can be a bit more like we're seeing with World Cup, but it's very hard to get on the right timeline, especially still catching up with COVID with Top. So, like I say, it's going to be interesting to see. Kimi Räikkönen has got 1 card in it, driver of the day. So that's his last hobby card as we speak. No really intentions of picking any up, but no doubt if I see it, because it's flagship, if I see a low numbered one for quite cheap, or might trade in for it. So But otherwise, it's going to be quite a nice release when it comes out Chrome. And I think, like I say, it's always a nice product to watch. I really enjoy watching Chrome breaks as well. So it always gives us something else to watch. And like I say, I think that's really most of it before we go into our questions of actual things that are just catching up on. And like I say, F1 has been quite interesting. World Cup's been fantastic. And like we say, what we're going to start doing now at the end of every episode or two is ask some questions from the people listening along. So we got some very good questions this week as well. And some of them I actually was a bit annoyed about because I thought, I wish I would have thought of that because that would have been me sounding clever. But starting with our good friend Lawrence, obviously LVW_cards on Instagram. What, if anything, do you think the UK hobby scene could improve on? I'm gonna let you go first because depending on the one you say, I'll have my other one I've got stored just in case.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the main one that you're going to be thinking of. So I've been having this conversation with City cards, or City cards, as I should probably say, the last couple of days. And to me, I think improvement could be accepting the fact that you're going to have to make a loss on some cards. I think you brought up a couple of episodes ago, and obviously to me it still stands. I think people in the UK are too afraid to admit taking a loss on a card. Now, obviously in the current market, the current climate, obviously cards. You've seen a few cards dropping in price recently, and obviously, if you buy a card for X amount, a couple of months ago, and they're now dropping in price now. Obviously, you think of selling the card, you're going to need to list it up at the price it currently is at in the market, not what you bought it for 3 months ago. So for me, I think that's the one thing we can improve on is accepting the fact that you're going to make a loss on some cards. You'd be invincible if you can make money on every single card you buy. So I think, that's the problem with us. I think even Sunday League investors said it when they come over, and that we are so firm on our prices in the UK. It's unbelievable. And I get it, some profits and, try and not make as much of a loss. But sometimes you've got to try and it's a bitter pill to swallow, the fact that, the card you bought has dropped 100 quid in price. You can't do anything about it. And you've got to accept the fact that if you want to sell it, you're going to have to sell it in line with the current market. And I think that's something in the UK that we find hard to accept. I think everyone does. I do as well. If you bought a card for 100 quid 2 months ago and it's now worth 25, you're fuming. But there's nothing you can do about it, or you have to hold it for another 6 months and try and get your money back for it then, or a year, or however long it takes. But for me, that's the biggest thing I think in the UK hobby that we can improve on. It's just accepting the fact that we're going to have to make a loss on some cards.
Yeah, I echo that. I think that's probably the main one that a lot of people will bring up. Just mainly for the fact of you see it that it's a really nice card, and obviously prices change. Some go up, some go down. And I always say some people will always make sure that they put their price of the card up when it goes up, but they won't put it when it goes down. But it's just the nature of a market that changes so much. And I think the only other one for me, and it's not really a massive problem within the UK hobby, get it here and there. I know me and you have both had it for like at one point. Is obviously there's some people just within the UK scene don't know about penny sleeves, top loaders, and bubble mailers. They should know about bubble mailers, maybe not penny sleeves and top loaders, but it's when you order some lovely stickers off eBay or wherever it is, and you just get that in a plain white envelope. Anything can have. All I have to think of, imagine if the postman, if he was working, dropped it in a puddle, and then it ruins the sticker. I had that for a 1998, I think it was, Thierry Henry Monaco sticker, which I know how it's impossible to open something with sellotape and paper and not bend the sticker. And I know the top corner bent for it, and that's what took it down to a 4. But I still really like the sticker, so I'm not complaining. I know you had it recently with the Arsene Wenger that you sent off with Jim to SGC. So that's just a little thing like that. But I think that just comes with people learning more about the hobby and what protections are available. But like I say, there could be some horror stories if people are not protecting the cards whilst they're in the post.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of those simple things that it should just be almost a given, almost a necessity that if you're selling cards, you need to send it in the correct protection. And I think for me, as we've discussed before, it's a bubble mailer with a top loader, penny sleeve, and all of the above trimmings or whatever else you want to put it in, cardboard or whatever else you want to stick it in. So yeah, I think it should just be. Shouldn't need any argument. Shouldn't need any discussion on it. It should be a given with every every card you buy. But it's one thing that I think, as you said, sometimes we do fall short on. And when you send it in a plain white envelope in a sticker that's worth 50 quid, that's now worth 13 quid because you've dropped it in a puddle or the postman's run it over or whatever else. It's one of those things. It's a slight bugbear that I think we could really try and improve on.
Yeah, I think that just comes with education and just people learning about it. Because obviously, it's quite a newer thing within the UK hobby scene. Of there's people out there have been buying and selling stickers for 40, 50 years. So it's just obviously teaching them. And once they know about it, they will use it because obviously helps them out that when people get a sticker, it's in the shape that they want it in. So, like I say, it's not many of them. It's quite. I think if we probably done it a year ago, there would have been a lot more. So it's going good, and like I say, it's always an interesting talking point, and I like to ask that to some people when we get them on because it's interesting because people see things differently, and I think that's always good because opinions are always great, and obviously some people don't like an opinion, some do. So that'd be an interesting one. And moving on to the next one, see, funny enough, someone just mentioned City Cards, who's one of our good friends up in Manchester. It's a very bad accent, but I'm going to still do it anyway.
What on earth was that, Ron?
How long do you think it will be before we have a dedicated local card store in the UK? And I know there's a few in terms of product, like sell boxes, but actual flip throughs of your dollar boxes, so to speak. Obviously, it would be dollar boxes. You have the higher end cards, you have slabs, and just a full dedicated store. Um, it's a tricky one. I think it's a very tricky one with the UK. I think with the US, obviously they've got them everywhere. They've got them in all the different provinces and states because they've got the traffic there where people are going to go to them. And we were just talking before this is where do you put it within the UK? Because obviously most people will probably be drawn off. Do you put in London because you get tourists as well might go in there, but then the rent will be through the roof. So will you make the money back to make it worth it? But then do you put in a Birmingham, for example, which is in the middle of the country, but then will people want to travel to it? I would say it has to be in a really a major city. But I honestly do think there'd be one soon. Obviously, Kev had his one in Brighton, which was a pop-up store that lasted quite a lot longer. When he was on the podcast, he mentioned that it lasted a lot longer than what he thought it would. It was meant to show, I think, a few months before, and he just kept it going. So hopefully very soon, because it would be nice to have a place that you could go to when there's not a card show on and just go in there and have trade nights there and be able to just flick through.
Yeah, I think we've seen obviously Kev Fora obviously do that, obviously open up his own card shop, and I think it's only going to be a matter of time. I think, like we said, I anticipated at some point next year, maybe when maybe the market has started settling and the cost of living has settled, people can start to see what they can and can't do. But I think we're getting to the point now where we need now more of a in-person shop where you can go and buy, sell, trade, meet people, meet up there and rip some wax, what have you. And I think it would be really good. And like you said, location is going to be key. Obviously you already expressed the points about London and in the outskirts there, or whether you're up north, down south. So I think the location's got to be correct. Also, there's pros and cons for every location you do it in. So you're never going to get it right in the right spot. Never know it's going to be a perfect spot. But I'm hoping by the end of next year, we're going to have a well-established card shop somewhere within the UK that we can travel to.
Definitely, I think it's like similar to card shows of being able to go there, have a look through, be able to meet other collectors there, like-minded people, which I think would be great. And hopefully, like I say, hopefully see it soon. It'd be interesting where it pops up because I think the location is going to be as key as the actual store itself. So hopefully, someone out there's probably thinking of it. So hopefully, I think it's waiting for that one person within the UK who takes the ball by its horns really and gets it's all about the inventory. You got to have the inventory. Obviously, that's where Fora was key. Is let's look at London Card Show. It took about 1,000 cards to the London Card Show. So you've got to be able to have that like liquid assets to be able to buy and invest in cards, have stock, be able to buy waxing, do breaks. So like I say, I really hope that someone does that soon and really goes for it because it could be a really good thing for the UK scene. Another really good thing because It's a very like positive scene at the moment, which is great. And moving on to Maximilian's cards, Maximilian _ cards on Instagram. What is the next growth area in the card hobby? Is it high end? Is it vintage? Or is it stickers? What one you think? Where you think in the growth is?
I think at the moment, for me, high end is probably a bit more out of the equation. I think, especially where we are in the current situation, with the cost of living and everything like that. I don't think high end. I think high end has been and still is quite a niche market. There's only probably a select percentage of people that probably would put themselves in that higher end buyer bracket, if you like. So I think for me, the biggest growth area has to be vintage. I think we've seen it like we did at South Coast with wedding collectibles. The room for growth in buying these vintage cards and stickers and grading them with SGC, PSA, MGC, who have you. And I think, having that ability to turn, a £3 sticker into like a £40-50 slab, there's so much growth in that vintage era to pick up some, and we were flicking through that wedding collectibles book when you were seeing rookies like Jens Lehmann. I've never seen a rookie of Jens Lehmann before in my life. You had to flick through this random book and see a Jens Lehmann rookie sticker. There's so much growth. And it's also that, like I said just then, like there's that, if you see an SGC Jens Lehmann rookie sticker on eBay, you're thinking, like, I've never seen it before in my life. It's that, like, oh my God, this is the first time I've ever seen that, and maybe the only time I'll ever see that. So I think, for me, the biggest growth point in the hobby, I know you've preached about it for a long time, but it has to be vintage.
Yeah, I've always been a massive fan of vintage, and I still think there's a load of growth, especially when it starts catching on a lot more. Obviously, modern cards are always going to be the thing of people watching the players as we speak, but the rarity, the scarcity, and then also when you find one in ridiculously good condition, if it's raw, then you risk sending it off and seeing how it does on the pop report, or you have a look at the pop report and you realize it's only like 3 of these ever graded, and the highest ones are 3, which is obviously completely different to modern. And I think as well, just touching on another one there, stickers. I think stickers. When I'm not talking stickers really from '06 onwards. Like, I'm talking before this period. I think they have a lot of growth as well. It's funny enough, Max, I know himself, showed me that he recently purchased a lovely Didier Drogba rookie sticker, which beautiful sticker. And I think it's stickers like that. My favorite era of stickers is 1980s and 1990s, of French and Italian stickers. The old Calciatori, Panini foot are just incredible. The colors on them are really popping. There's different designs on them as well. It's not your standard white borders that you have now, really. And I feel like obviously there's a rush around people's rookies, but people are going to realize as well that second year and third, I think the perfect example is look at a Messi at the moment. People might not be able to afford his rookies, so they look at second year and third year. But down the line, people will be doing the same with. I think the ones I was actually looking at on PWCC recently were your Maldinis, Baresi's, people like that who are legends of the game, but are not talked about as much as obviously your Maradonas, your Pele's, your Messi's, your Ronaldo's, like the elite level. But you've got all these legends below them that deserve the recognition. I see an unbelievable French league sticker, called Makelele this morning. And I was like, I've never seen this. Like you say, never seen this before. And I think people are going to slowly realize as well that prior to, obviously there was a 2002, every World Cup's had its trading card sets from the US World Cup in 94. But realistically, stickers that was what it was then, and all the way before it. Obviously, you did have your cigarette cards. You had all these different types of cards, but proper trading cards started realistically in 2012, 2014 area. So I think stickers are going to start growing as well, a lot in popularity. I'd say prior up to, and maybe including the 2006 World Cup. I think that is always going to be a great one. And I think, like you say, you've got a couple of stickers as well off at graded at the moment. I think they have this appeal to them, stickers of these are pieces of paper and these are easily damaged. So getting them in that nice condition is that bit more special than, say, a card, which is a bit more robust.
Yeah, definitely. I think, when you go send a sticker off to grading that's, 20, 30 years old and it comes back in SGC, 5 or above, I'm not saying that anything below that's a poor grade, but I think it's a massive, something like Borat success. Like to get a sticker graded like from, I said, from 20, 30 years ago, like anywhere between 5 to a 10. I think imagine what a sticker from 1980, 1990 in a 9.5, a 10, whatever that may be, that sticker stayed in pristine condition for older than I've been alive. Like I think it's just stuff like that is crazy. And that's why there's just so much growth in vintage that for that element. Like I'm looking at these, these two on race stickers that I've got. They're the same age as me, and they're still grading in like an 8.5. So yeah, it's magic. I think it really is a great bit of vintage history.
I've got a side question for you regarding the Omris. Obviously, you've picked up 2 now. Are you going to go for any others? That is the question, because they are great stickers and all different designs. I've seen it. I'm doing it personally with Dennis Bergkamp of Arsenal. Will you be looking for any other Henry ones, France, or mainly just Arsenal ones?
I've got that little bug where I'm like, if it's not an Arsenal shirt, I'm a bit weird. Like it doesn't appeal to me as much. I've not looked into it yet, but I might have a look into it and see if I can sort of pull together Henri sort of like from 99 onwards, his Arsenal stickers, and try and get, let's say like a 5-year streak, from 99 to 2004, and see if I can get the 5 stickers from those years and see get one SGC until they look like. I've not thought about it, but obviously until just then. But I think it's a pretty good idea. See if I can get, those 5-year stint in an Arsenal shirt. I think would be pretty sick.
Yeah, like I say, I think that'd be a great one. And like I say, I'm doing a very similar thing with Burkamp, and you realise that some really cool stickers out there that you've never seen before. And I think the last question of this episode comes from our good friend Pat Rick Mahomes, and it's slightly away from the trading card world of who has been the surprise World Cup player of the tournament so far for yourself?
There's a lot that obviously I've played well so far, by no surprise. The one for me that I've thought about during the episode, because we were talking a bit beforehand, weren't we? Around sort of who has been like a surprise player. Now, obviously, for me, the main standout is Cody Gakpo. For me, I'm like, I didn't really know too much about him going into the World Cup. Obviously, I saw him absolutely tear Arsenal a new one. Also, when we went to PSV, obviously, yeah, he played extremely well. But I think to see him play for Netherlands, he's banging in goals left, right, and centre, and he's been playing really, really well. But a little side, boost up. Yunus Musa from USA. I think he played incredibly well for the USA during the group stage, obviously, and unfortunately before they got knocked out. Obviously, last the weekend, I think end of last week. So yeah, for me, they're the 2 standout players, Cody Gakpo and Yunus Musa. Very surprised at how well they've played in the World Cup.
Yeah, I think so far I had 2 in mind. One that's in the World Cup still, and one out like you, and one of them is USA. And actually, he's an Arsenal player, Matt Turner. I think played actually really well for USA, and he was a bit unlucky to concede as many goals as he did, especially in that last game. But like I say, USA did play very well. Like Yunus Musa, you said, done a very good thing, and it was never their World Cup this year. It was obviously building up to 2026 for them. But for me, he's a player that kind of goes under the radar a bit in Europe in terms of he's been around for quite a while. He was linked to Man U last summer, and he kind of ticks over in that midfield for France is Adrien Rabiot. And I think I heard something really funny the other day, and I couldn't stop laughing. I see an auto of him pulled in a hobby box break, and I was thinking, for the last 2.5 years, people be like, "Oh God, it's Adrien Rabiot. Who cares?" And the boat went, "Hi, this actually quite a nice pull. He's having a really good World Cup." And I was like, it's funny, but the World Cup does do that, and he has played really well in that midfield. Obviously, alongside Tuchemeni in there, he's a fantastic young player, and he's playing fantastic. But him in alongside him really ticks you over. Does all the ugly work in that midfield, and like I say, obviously coming up against England on Saturday, hopefully he does have a very poor game. But like I say, he's been a very, very good player to watch, and I think France have been electric, and Mbappe isn't. Like I say, it's going to be a very big game on Saturday. But like I say, it's been obviously it seemed a while since I last recorded because we done a double up one when we had Trade We on, but it's been a great episode talking about things. And like we said, we're really intrigued to see. Obviously, it's Christmas period now, but we're really interested to see the next 4 to 6 weeks and then onwards 6 months, 12 months of where the UK scene's hobby. Because I'm really seeing a lot of positives lately, and I think that's really good because we've had negative periods over here where there's been a lot of down stuff, a lot of things coming out, but it really seems like it's turning the corner of the UK hobby. And I don't think I'm not sure if there's anything for you to add, but I think it's just a really interesting time within the UK scene.
Yeah, no, I think we pretty much covered everything we need to cover today, and going into Christmas, and obviously hopefully starting the new year fresh in the hobby with some card shows straight off the bat, obviously into 2023. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what next year has to bring. Obviously, yes, in what nearly two my first sort of best full year in the hobby. I think obviously joined in January 2021. So obviously, yeah, it's been looking forward to seeing what 2023 brings, obviously for the hobby. But yeah, it's a really good time of year at the moment, obviously for the hobby and with the World Cup going on. Yeah, it's been another episode.
Yeah, like I say, thank you everyone for listening. Like we say, it's a very busy month now leading up to Christmas. We'll be bringing you episodes all the way up until the end of the year. We have to work out how the schedule's going to work for the next couple of weeks, but definitely it's going to be all over the place soon. When it gets to like the week to 2 weeks before Christmas, everything's all over the place. You don't know what day's what. But like I say, it's been another great episode. And like we always say, thank you very much for everyone for listening. I hope everyone out there is staying safe, keep them warm in this very weird world we're in now. The weather's dropping as well. But like I say, as we always say on here, if anyone ever needs to talk or you need someone to talk to at this time of year, it can be lonely for some people. So always reach out to one of us. Or if you don't want to listen to reach out to the podcast out, always hit up one of our main card accounts. We're always happy to talk to people and have a chat about the hobby. But most importantly, I hope everyone out there is staying safe, well, and having a very merry Christmas period. So, and the last thing to say, as we always do at the Top Load Podcast, thank you, good night, and happy hobbying.